This is the sex offense, ongoing stalking, amplification, engineered light is inside of my apartment, ongoing obsessive stalking by a corrupt law enforcement agency that's repeatedly over me and with simultaneity to what they are aware of that I'm documenting inside of my private space. Okay, it is currently 7:06 a.m. You're recognizing targeting through the audible activity creation in the engineered environment, through the crossing path behavior in the engineered environment, and they're also engaged in federal stalking with the entirety of the environment that are the people of the state living in relevant position, engaged in group stalking by living in the path, including those at Alvarado Gardens who are going to federal prison, okay? It is currently 7:06 a.m. The entity doing this same exact pattern of stalking in a helicopter as I documented, and as I step outside where the entity is not covering up this light source, you will see, not only have you seen the sunrise on May 6, 2024, the entity was engaging in what is stalking with the light source, because that's what that is. It's not the sun as I documented it. And the last time the entity engaged in what is not hiding the light source, which is, this is demonic, it's not the natural environment, covering up the light source because I'm documenting the specific environment is not in any way contradicting the pattern of conduct. The entity stalking in helicopter is letting you know that it is the specific environment as it is established as well when you're covering up the light source. In addition to that, you've seen the exact same stalking with helicopter. The entity is ducking and dodging camera as I step outside of my front door, and you see the light source right over my front door, and this is after 12 o'clock in the afternoon. And this is again May 6, 2024, the sunrise at 7:29, 7:18 in the morning. That passes of time, by the way, and this is just reminding you about what is already captured, and the entity is stalking in a helicopter in that same exact environment. That's already on the record. Covering up the light source is the same group stalking conduct. They're engaged in ongoing demonstration of obsession, and this is what the world needs to understand. This is what the demon-possessed Dominic Choi and the demon-possessed agency, the LAPD, are actually committed their resources to. Stalking in helicopters, surveillance via helicopters. And while they're using these helicopters, they're engaging in what is demonic activity. And it is group stalking by corrupt law enforcement agencies, as I've documented, not just the LAPD, but a group of corrupt law enforcement agencies engaging in the same identical behavioral pattern, where there is an unnatural environment that surrounds, and their unnatural behavior is occurring in that specific environment. And that specific environment remains while the light source is covered up, and engineered light remains, by the way. In addition to the engineered environment, they are crossing path and creating amplified audible activity in the engineered environment, and all elements remain present while I'm inside of my private space. And for example, my kitchen light is on. This is the specific environment. All elements are present. But remember, this is not just a kitchen light that's on. This is an engineered environment where you've seen, again, this morning at 5, the pattern of this window, the blinds were appearing above my head. That this is not the natural environment. Covering up the light source is no deviation or some exception to the ongoing maintenance of the specific environment. The entity is very highly malicious. As you see them, they're demons that are still engaging in stalking in helicopter in plain sight. I'm going to play this tape, and Lucy Santos is going to federal prison behind it. She's group stalking in concert with that corrupt entity that's engaged in ongoing surveillance, criminal stalking, in concert, utilizing specifically helicopters in conformity to the state's criminal pattern of conduct, and Lucy Santos is living at a crime scene engaging in that criminal system. You are living at a crime scene where the specific environment is present. You are also documented engaging in that criminal system. You are not passively living at the crime scene. You are engaged in the crime when you're living at the crime scene. That's what group stalking is, presence and activity. And your work schedule was no exception to that. But I want to make sure that you understand that. That is the entity group stalking in helicopter, again, adding to the documentation. It is 7:09 a.m. on May 20th, 2024. So I'm going to go ahead and continue documenting it. What is also relevant, Maria Solis Alvarez, this is a documented group stalker who you see crossing path under the light source. This is after 5 p.m. As I documented on last week, the entity engaging in what is the maintenance of that light source. You saw her group stalking. She's crossing path, and that hovering light source is over Alvarado Gardens. You see her shadow. You see her as I'm looking outside of my office. There is never any sun. It's not the natural environment. She's group stalking, and this is group stalking that's occurring in the workforce. In the workplace, as I documented. She's engaged in group stalking as well, while that same corrupt agency is flying circles over my office during the telephone conversation that included an officer of the court who shall be removed from her position permanently, and she's going to federal prison, engaging in the same criminal elements of monitoring, acting in concert with that corrupt law enforcement agency who was on video, as I documented less than 7 days ago. This was during the workplace. I believe that was Wednesday or Thursday of last week. And the entity is flying over my office repeatedly, targeting in the same specific environment, by the way. This third-party group stalker, Maria Solis Alvarez, is scheduled to be at the office today. She's a third-party group stalker who's criminal conduct. She's not on the job. She's group stalking with that same agency. And what I'm going to continue to do is document the same exact stalking conduct. And this is speaking to what is terrorism that I'm subject to while the demon-possessed workforce working for a third-party group stalker that is speaker companies engaging in the same criminal system while the entity is then concentrating its helicopter activity over my office in concert with the demon-possessed that are living at this property, group stalking together. This is the demon-possessed entity that's engaging in the criminal elements of monitoring under the guise of, by the way, recertifications for federal housing. All of them are going to be removed and they are disqualified. Let me be clear, they're disqualified right now. They're going to face that formality and they will understand that as a matter of a declaration of law, they will be removed from qualification for ever receiving federal housing again, based on the criminal record that they shall obtain, including Lucy Santos, engaging in group stalking with the state, including in the workplace in concert with the same entity that is stalking repeatedly and all day long, engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring in the workplace, which Maria Solis Alvarez, I want to be clear, engaging in workplace terrorism, harassment, and sexual violence as an entity while the same exact criminal activity continues during the work day, which is on the watch of speaker companies who I'm going to prosecute during the pockets, and R. Todd Speaker, who is going to be prosecuted as a third party, his real property and his business, the guise under which the same exact criminal conduct, which is federal group stalking and monitoring, is ceaselessly underway. All third parties here are going to federal prison. You're looking at them engaging in what is federal group stalking and monitoring while the entity is shown on video group stalking, crossing path, audible activity creation, which is an unreasonable nuisance that's occurring at 7 o'clock in the morning. While the entity is group stalking, they're engaged in an ongoing violation of quiet enjoyment, because everything that the demon possessed are doing is audible activity, which is amplified for purposes of massive facilitation, because the entity that's surrounding, they're monitoring together. This is loud helicopter activity. This is a demon that's loud while they're walking up and down the stairs. This is a demon that's loud while they're delivering a package. This is a demon that is loud while they are engaging in riding a skateboard, for example. Everything is amplified in volume, including while you are in a helicopter at a great distance. You're still targeting with the impossible occurrence of that being sounded inside of my apartment, which is also how you know that a demon is targeting in the specific environment pursuant to the ongoing pattern of conduct. The pattern of conduct does not take a pause. So I just want to make sure that you understand it. And this is documentation of what's occurring, continuing in the workplace. And Maria Solis Alvarez is going to federal prison. I'm going to document her specifically while she is group stalking at my office today, not present, engaging in federal stalking and group stalking at Duarte in Duarte, California. Duarte Park Apartments is where she resides. And she is not only going to federal prison, then she's going to be deported. And she's going back to, I believe she's originally from Tijuana, if not Mexico. She's not from this country though, and she's going back to that country after she sits in federal prison. And that's for a prolonged term, because group stalking in the workplace is a highly malicious form of engaging in the state's criminal system. That's a threat to my life, and I'm literally telling you that that's what the ordinary target individual has to look forward to, going to work subject to this criminal activity, not knowing whether the entity is going to come and burst into your job, engage in what is shooting you up, dropping bombs on you while they're repeatedly flying over you in helicopters for no legitimate reason, while the entity is terrorizing in a specific environment. Everywhere that you're going, demons, third parties are maintaining presence in your path while they engage in this ongoing, ceaseless, demonic ambush behavior. That's terrorism in the workplace. They're also engaging in a sex offense during the work hour. As you go into the private space, you're subject to surveillance. They're sex offenders that are engaging in an ongoing criminal system. They're molesting you with engineered light. That's sexual violence in the workplace while they want to keep you under surveillance. Understand all of these facts remain relevant, and it's carrying on into the workplace, which is a threat to my life, and that's relevant for the ongoing harassment by an entity that's engaged in the federal group stalking and monitoring and federal stalking. And Maria Solis Alvarez, acting on behalf of speaker companies, and in the name of speaker companies, is going to be prosecuted while the entity is engaging in this. And this is a psychopath, a demon that is going to act with the people of the state, group stalking in the path, in the specific environment, with that corrupt agency that uses helicopters on an ongoing basis. That's exactly what has already been documented, and that's exactly what they're going to be doing today. So I want to make sure that I document that, and the fact that that's what the ordinary target individual has to look forward to. This is documentation for what will be draining the pockets, because you have a right to not be subject to this in the workplace. Okay, it is again relevant to what is psychological torment, emotional distress, psychological harms, intangible harms that you cannot quantify, but you're going to address it. You're going to drain the pockets, and this company is not even going to survive that federal prosecution. Okay, but there are other supplemental ways of compensation, such as taking that property. All right, you're also going to remove them from the ability to participate in federal housing programs where you are a documented group stalking engaging in state surveillance. Not only can the people of the state be disqualified, which is exactly what they will be, but also the property itself removed from the ability to participate in the federal housing program. The licensure for engaging in what is real estate. When you are engaged in abuse, and this is what I advocate, the ways in which you can punish the entity incapable of using a real estate license, the DRE license, when your property is a criminal means of group stalking in concert with a corrupt government, which Todd Speaker and his employees are facilitating. They're repeatedly abusing the federal housing policies while federal stalking is underway, and the private identifying information, social security numbers of federal housing recipients and federal housing applicants, including my personal information, by the way. Don't forget about the invasion of privacy by the entity in the workplace. Everyone knowing how much I'm getting paid, how much what of my medical records, if anything, if I go to the doctor, if I go to the dentist, it's all a matter of public information. Whatever hospital, whatever I go to, that I'm being monitored there, and then as that is cycled through and it's paid for and processed by speaker companies, that's all public information. Don't forget all the facets that are relevant as well. You're going to prosecute for all of that, and also a relevant means of prosecution and punishment is removing the ability, the licensure for using your properties, making money off of your properties where you're serving the criminal system of federal group stalking and monitoring in concert with that entity, which is also documented as I continue to capture the P.O.C. All right, it is currently 7:17 a.m. and this is P.O.C.